Welcome back to round 2 of the Just Car Insurance Australian Drifting Grand Prix. Now, setting up a pro-level drift car is no easy feat. Much of the science behind it is still a little bit of a black art. There's no perfect combination, and it can come down to a lot of things such as the car, driving style, suspension, tyres, and a lot more. Now, many people think that drift cars need lots of power and no grip, but it's actually the opposite. They need as much grip as possible so they can maintain as much speed as possible. Now, this comes down to 2 things: tyres and suspension. So let's catch up with the guys from KW Suspension to find out a little bit more.
What I've found, or we found a lot, is that people look at the coilover and say, okay, that is a part of the car, we don't really care about it, it's the last thought. Whereas it couldn't be further from the truth in a drift car. One of the most important things in a drift car is the car's behaviour and predictability for the driver. The adjustability and the selection of spring rates, damping rates is huge on any sort of vehicle, especially in drifting. If you do one without the other, you create an unbalance in the car. Again, that leads to less predictability for the driver. Improving the spring rate, you need to understand why you're doing this. What is our tyre selection? What are the chassis weights? Then we come to a spring rate and a spring length that's correct. The next stage is to determine the correct damper rates. Now, rebound bump rates have to be very well suited to the spring and also the dynamics of the car. It's not just about controlling the spring, but also when the car is doing certain manoeuvres or movements, create significant loads, dynamic loads on the car. So it has to be able to handle this as well. Now, you can't do everything on a piece of paper and get the exact setup day one. It always works perfectly. So to help a little bit, you also want adjustment. This saves a lot of time on track. Every track is a little bit different, conditions can be different, tyres can be different. So we want to be able to incorporate some adjustment as well. Putting the right spring damper combo, it's really important.
Generally, people have a very big misconception of drifting and the setup. A lot of people think you use cheap tyres that aren't very good, and they think you use rock hard coilovers that are really stiff so your car just slides around. It's totally the opposite way. We use the best top of the range tyre with the most grip and the flattest surface on the track to get the most traction possible. And coilovers and suspension setting is crucial. You don't use a rock hard suspension, you just slide off the track, you don't get the grip. We use a KW coilover. It's got great rebound and traction, and everything really works for us. It's got all the settings to change, and it's a top-end coilover that the top-end people use all around the world, and that's what we aspire to use. We've got access to information from all the top drift drivers around the world: Daijiro Yoshihara, Ryan Turk, all the big-name people running KW suspension coilovers over in America. We can access their data. They email us anything, we send our settings over, we send our weights over, and they come back to us, and I'm really glad to have KW on board and giving us that information.
Well, it's time to continue our top 16 tandem battles here at round 2 of the Just Car Insurance Australian Drifting Grand Prix. Our next pairing, Ender, in that awesome looking Jap Warehouse S13, going up against Ben Purtell in the Team GT Garage 180SX. Ender looks pumped, but Ben Purtell will be looking to hold on to his number 3 spot in the championship. Ender leads now. He was the higher qualifier. A little bit shallow on that entry there, not very good line. Ben Purtell looks to try and dive in on the inside, but Ender there lost a lot of speed and went quite wide. Ben Purtell nearly having a bit of contact. Very messy from both drivers on the first part of the run, but they tidy it up on the second half of the run. Let's see what happens now with Ben Purtell leading. A lot of power in that 180SX, well over 300 kilowatts at the wheels. Throws it big, but still a little bit shallow on that line. Bit of a straighten there from Ender as well, as he went to follow. A little bit messy on the first part of the run from Ender on that follow lap. And it looks like the advantage is going to go to Ben Purtell on that run. Let's take a look at the replay. You can see Ben Purtell dives in on the inside. Ender runs very wide, nearly a bit of contact. Same thing again there, a little bit of a correction from Ender.
Oh, that was close. Yeah, he drove really awesome. I got right up inside him. He did the same to me, so glad the decision went my way. It's getting a bit wet, so just stoked to get through.
Our next pairing, Danny Williamson in the KW Suspension Achilles Radial S15. He got a bye run in the top 32, but now he has to do it tough going up against the number 3 qualifier, Mohammed El Houli, in the JAK AutoWorks R32. The judges couldn't call it on their first run, so let's check out their rerun now. Mohammed leads on the first run. Very aggressive on his entries, but a little bit shallow on line and angle this time around for Mohammed in the R32. Danny, though, now able to use the extra power, extra speed and grip of that car to get up nice and close on the back of Mohammed on the second half of the run. Let's see what happens this time now with Danny Williamson leading. Muhammad has to take chase. Can he keep up with that KW suspension, Achilles radial S15? He is able to do so far. Perfect entry there from Danny Williamson in the S15. Let's see what happens now when they hit the bank. Danny Williamson able to use the extra grip and speed of that car to simply pull away from Muhammad on the second half of the run. That'll give him a great advantage. Looking at the replay, you can see a little bit shallow on the line and angle there from Muhammad on the entry. But once they hit the bank, Danny Williamson's car just showing superior speed and grip and able to get all over the back of him. And then when he led, was simply just able to pull away and take the win.
KW suspensions, Williamson suspension, Achilles tyres. My pit crew hopes the car went great. We got through to the top 8 and hopefully I'll talk to you again.
Our next pairing in the top 16 now, Andrew Considine in the Conine Motorsport S14 and Jared Klingberg in the Barossa Spot-On Fishing KE70 wagon. It may be an older style car, but don't let that fool you. It's got all the good gear underneath, and he qualified in 10th. He throws it big on that entry. He's on the perfect line to hit that outer clip. But Andrew Considine had a big straighten on that entry. Very messy, and through the rest of the run here simply can't stay as close to Jared Klingberg as what he was able to do to Nigel Petrie in the top 32, and a big advantage will go to Jared. Let's see what happens on this run now with Andrew Considine leading. Can he pull off a big entry like Jared did? Not able to do so. Very shallow on line and angle on that entry, and Jared uses that to his advantage to push up nice and close through that horseshoe. Let's see what happens now through the KW corner. And they finish off past that I Love Drift finish line. If you have a look at the replay, you can see that big straighten from Considine on the entry on his follow lap. And then when Jared was following, he was able to get right up on the inside of Andrew Considine, pushing nice and close, giving us the proximity that we want to see, and he will get the win.
Really good actually. The car's holding up pretty good today, so I'm pretty pumped.
How's this for a matchup? Number 1 and 2 in the championship last year. Luke Fink up against Agus from the Insane Drifters in the 180SX. Luke Fink had a bye in the first run, but now he's going to go up against one of the toughest competitors in the series. Luke Fink will lead on this run as he's the higher qualifier. Full speed to that entry, throws it big right there on the outer clip, but Agus is right there with him, putting up a big fight up against Luke Fink. Good proximity from Agus, both drivers running a perfect line. I'll tell you what, very hard to call on that one. No clear advantage going to either driver. But Luke Fink knows that he will need to step it up on this run and get even closer if he wants to take the win. Agus leads in that Just Car Insurance Insane Drifters 180SX. An awesome entry from both drivers. Look at Luke Fink pushing right up on the inside of Agus, getting even closer again and showing why he is the surgeon, as he is able to get there with complete precision. Look at the rerun now. Fink pushing so aggressively up on the inside there to give us excellent proximity. He took it to another level, and that is why he will take the win and move through to the top 8.
Well, it's the first real, it's the first battle I've had all weekend, and I only had one chase lap in practice. I was really, really tense, and Agus is so good, so I was really stressing out, to be honest, because I've had no chase laps this weekend, so you know, Agus drove really, really well, which allowed me to push really hard as well. It was full on, really, really full on.
Hi, my name's Michael from Melbourne, Victoria, and I'm driving the C&D Motorworks Hybrid Notion 180SX. I've been drifting since 2009, which has been 3 years so far. And yeah, I just love the sport. I love the Jap cars. I feel a bit nervous, seeing that I got quite a bit of friends watching me, coming from all over Melbourne, and yeah, don't want to let them down, put on the show for them. There's not much room for mistakes. You got to be on the ball and really know your stuff, otherwise you can destroy your car in a blink of an eye. It's got it's fully adjustable arms, Racing Logic coilovers. I'm running about 260 kilowatts this weekend. Got all the Driftworks knuckles, Osgeeken box, ORC clutch, drive shafts, all the drive lines all from the States, the drive shaft shop. And yeah, just trying to make it a reliable machine. Mainly C&D Motorworks. They've been building this car for the last 2 years. And quite a lot of the time the car just goes in with only about a week. They've got to do what they've got to do. And they always come through for me.
We're at the pointy end of the field now here at round 2 of the Just Car Insurance Australian Drifting Grand Prix as we head into the top 8 battles. Let's go. Some big names appearing in that top 8 battle tree as to be expected, but Matt Russell and Jared Klingberg in the old school Toyotas have been putting up a big fight and putting on a show for the crowd, driving very well. Can they cause another upset? We're about to find out as Matt Russell goes up against Rob White in the Monster Energy 350Z, but the rain now coming down. None of these drivers have had the chance to practice in the rain, so it's going to make it very interesting at the top end of the field now. Rob White has a lot of experience in the wet weather as he won the last round under these sort of conditions, so he's not afraid of a little bit of water and driving very well so far. But Matt Russell not able to hold on to it and straightening up as they came up the bank towards that Achilles radial corner, and that'll hand a massive advantage to Rob White in the Monster Energy 350Z. He'll be able to play a little bit safe on this second run, but Matt Russell will have to give it his all. Throws it nice and early. So far, so good. Rob White hanging back a little bit, not going as wide towards that outer clipping zone as what the judges want, but that's to be expected in this wet weather. You've got to play it a little bit safe, but Rob White now able to use the extra speed of his car to catch back up. But after that first run, Rob White had a massive advantage from that straighten up from Matt Russell, able to play it safe, keep it clean and consistent, and take the win.
You know, I did a average chase run against him. I wasn't proud of it, but I was just trying, don't spin out, don't spin out, don't spin out, and I didn't spin out, and we've gone through. So hopefully it dries up a little bit before the top 4, because it's not fun. I don't want another remake at Tassie.
How's this for a matchup? The old man of drifting, Danny Verhumis, the Godfather, up against the young man of drifting, Nick Coulson, the Drift Kid. The Just Nice Cars Via Ute has been super consistent in the dry, but what will happen in the wet now? Let's see as they start that entry. Nick Coulson, another perfect entry, gets right out there towards that outer clip and hits it. Danny Verhumis trying to push right up there, not quite able to do so yet, but now he's starting to gain ground, gets nice and close, but what's this? Straightens up. It looks like he pushed a little bit too hard and backed out of it and straightened up and hands a massive advantage over to Nick Coulson in that Just Nice Cars Holden Ute. Danny Verhumis will lead now. You can see him already gaining ground on that run up there. Throws it big. Nick Coulson's right there, pushing up nice and close to Danny Verhumis. You can hear him using a lot of throttle control in these wet conditions. That car has massive power, but look at this. On the bank, Danny Verhumis is able to pull away. Those Achilles radial 123Ss have heaps of grip and able to pull away there, but looking at the replay, you can see that he just threw it away after straightening up there and handed the win to Nick Coulson in the VE Ute.
I don't know, all of a sudden we went out, it was dry, then just started, pouring down rain. Went up against him, and I think he spun behind me, so I think they gave it to me on the first run, and then I tried to stay with him, but he kind of pulled from me a bit, but because he spun, I think they gave it to me.
Our next pairing now, Ben Purtell from Tasmania going up against someone from the opposite end of the country, Danny Williamson from WA in the KW suspension. Achilles radial S15. Ben Purtell looking to continue his charge in the championship. He leads on this first run. None of these guys have practiced in the rain, but it doesn't matter. Ben Purtell throws it big and able to pull off a big entry. Can he hold on to it through the horseshoe? No, too much angle and spins. Danny Williamson has to obviously back out of it to avoid contact, but that spin from Ben Purtell is going to severely hurt his chance at winning this battle. All Danny Williamson will need to do on the second run is simply put down a clean lap. Danny will lead on this run. Ben Purtell will take chase. Ben Purtell will be praying for a spin from Danny to force a rerun. Let's see what happens. Danny able to hold it together so far, driving very conservatively there. Very shallow line and angle on that entry, but all he has to do is do a safe run. But up on the bank here, starts to put the pedal down and pull away from Ben Purtell and will secure that win with ease. You can see here on the replay, that spin was game over for Ben Purtell, and Danny Williamson was able to hold on to it and put down a clean lap and simply just pull away on the second half of the run, giving him the win.
Well, Ben led on his lap and he spun in front of me, so I knew he would have had quite a low score, so just went out and put in a, just a consistent one, made sure I didn't spin. So yeah, we're through to the top 4, and we'll go put on another set of Achilles tyres, and we'll be back out there for top 4.
Luke Fink now up against Jared Klingberg in that KE70 wagon. He'll be looking to try and make an upset, while Luke Fink will be looking to hold on to his #1 spot in the championship. He's had a lot of trouble this weekend, a lot of mechanical issues with that S14, but the Holford Motors team have worked hard to make sure that it stayed on track when it came battle time. Luke Fink throws it big though. He doesn't care about that wet weather, puts on another perfect entry. Jared Klingberg is struggling to keep up. Those Achilles Radial 123S tyres seem to be excellent in the rain, as every single car using them is able to pull a massive gap once they hit the bank and simply pull away. Luke Fink will have the advantage after that run, so he doesn't need to push too hard on this second run against Jared Klingberg, but I've got a funny feeling Luke Fink's going to want to put on a show. And let's see what happens now. Jared leads against Luke Fink, throws it in, an awesome entry there from Jared Klingberg, but look at Luke Fink able to push right up on the inside, door to door. That is the proximity the judges want to see, and that's the type of battles the crowd wants to see. Luke Fink is all over the back of Jared Klingberg throughout the entire course, and showing why he is Australia's #1 drifter. Let's take a look at that replay. You can see Luke Fink so aggressive, pushing right up on the door of Jared Klingberg. He did a great run, but Luke Fink simply did it better.
It's really bloody slippery out there, and this circuit, because we're coming from like a pit lane onto a piece of road that was never really used onto a race circuit, every piece of surface is different, so that they've got all different levels of grip, so it's really, really tricky.
Hey, I'm Andrew Considine, and start again. Hey, I'm Andrew Considine, I'm from Tassie. I drive the Conine Motorsport S14. I want to become a registered driver because just driving against the best guys in Australia is nothing better. I got rid of their SR20 because they're pretty much junk. The gearboxes break, they got rocker arms, nothing goes good with them. So I put a 1JZ in, yeah, R154 gearbox, everything's strong, sounds healthy, a lot more power, reliable. Yeah, it's a bog stock actually 1JZ engine with a Garrett 3576 GDX turbo on it. Injectors, computer, obviously all the fruit, and yeah, it makes 400 horsepower and 17 pounds. Yeah, basically the suspension, we sat the car down and worked out all the geometry and got all the rear subframe raised. We've dropped knuckles, so all the arms are all nice and straight. BC coilovers all around. Nigel Petrie hooked me up with some knuckles in the front as well to get some crazy lock. And yeah, she's sweet. Conine Motorsport are backing me this year. They've paid for me to be a registered driver, and pretty much are getting me to every round. They have an awesome workshop down in Tassie, state-of-the-art facilities. Yes, it is still street registered. I actually had to drive it off the boat through Melbourne City to get it here. Didn't get hassled, so touch wood, I'll get it back home in the one piece.
Welcome back to round 2 of the Just Car Insurance Australian Drifting Grand Prix. We're heading into the top 4 now. Rob White up against Nick Coulson, #1 versus #4 qualifier, both from Queensland. The Monster Energy 350Z up against the Just Nice Cars Holden VE Ute. Both drivers have been super consistent all weekend. Let's see what happens on this run. Rob White, another excellent run. A little bit shallow on the line and angle on that entry, but being a little bit conservative in the wet. Nick Coulson was able to take chase, but once we hit the bank, Rob White is simply able to pull away. Clearly that car having superior grip and superior speed in these wet conditions. Nick Coulson has been struggling for traction up on the bank. Perhaps the weight of the car or the setup in the wet, just not able to hold enough speed, but another excellent entry from Nick Coulson there. Can't fault him on his line and angle on that run, but once they hit the bank, Rob White is able to get right on the back of him. It seems that every car that's running Achilles 123S tyres just seems to have exceptional speed up on the bank, and Nick Coulson just struggling for grip. Rob White, a little bit of a celebration there, but you can see here in the replay that Rob White is all over the back of him on his chase run with superior speed, and that'll give him the win.
Yeah, it feels good. I'm really getting the hang of the wet track now. It's a predictable slippery, so had a really good run against Nick. Nick's been driving awesome all day, and it's a shame to see him. You know, the both of us up together, I was hoping we, you know, would hopefully take it 1-2 for Queensland and give Fink a bit of a stirrup, but...
Our next pairing now, Danny Williamson up against Luke Fink. These guys also went head-to-head in the rain at round 1. Danny Williamson psyched himself out a little bit and lost that battle. Let's see what he can do this time. Luke Fink throws it hard in the rain for a big entry, and look at this! Slices off the end of the noodle with the end plate of his wing. An awesome entry from Luke Fink, even in this wet condition. Perfect line once again, but up on the bank, Danny Williamson is able to take the fight to him. His S15 has so much speed up on the bank, wet or dry, and was able to stay there. Danny Williamson's going to need to impress the judges on this entry if he wants a chance at taking the win. Isn't able to get out far enough on that entry, but runs a little bit wide here and goes off the track and straightens up. He backs out of it. And that straighten up and off-track excursion will hand the win to Luke.
It was cool. It's still really, really wet, so it's exciting. Just had a lot of fun.
Well, now it's time for Danny Williamson and Nick Coulson to battle it out for third place. The judges couldn't pick them on the first run, so now they're having a rerun to see who can take that final spot on the podium. Nick Coulson has been super consistent all weekend, wet or dry, but he has struggled for traction up on the bank in that big heavy ute. He gives us another perfect entry, hits that outer clip. Danny Williamson now starting to push up on the inside. Let's see what happens as they hit the bank up towards that Achilles radial corner. You can see Danny Williamson has superior speed and grip in that S15 and is able to push up nice and close. Nick Coulson doing everything he can in that ute, but just not able to get away. Danny Williamson looks pretty pumped, but focused at the same time. He leads now in that S15. The KW suspension in that car providing excellent grip. Look at that, gets out nice and close to that outer clip. Nick Coulson's right there on the first part of the course, but once they hit the bank, Danny Williamson is simply able to pull away from Nick Coulson, and there is nothing he can do about it. And that will hand a nice big advantage to Danny Williamson. You can see here on the replay, look how close Danny gets on the bank, but when Danny leads, simply able to pull away, and there is nothing that Nick Coulson could do about it.
Third place, I'm absolutely ecstatic to win third place in ADGP National Series. Nick Coulson's such a good driver. He's got a lot of, a lot of talent for such a young kid. But Wilkins' suspension put the car together with the KWs and the Achilles 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it looks like I had the advantage. And yeah, we'll see you in a couple of months' time in Adelaide.
Finals time now. Luke Fink will once again go up against Rob White in the Monster Energy 350Z. At round 1, Luke Fink qualified first, and that's where he ended up. But this time at round 2, Rob White has qualified in first. How will that affect this battle? The judges couldn't pick him on the first one. This is now a rerun with Rob White leading. Throws it big, doesn't get out towards that outer clip, and Luke Fink uses that to his advantage to push right up on the inside. Check this out. Luke Fink is glued to the back of Rob White, giving us the proximity that the judges want to see. And that is going to hand an advantage to Luke Fink after that run. Rob White will need to get right on the back of Luke Fink or hope for a mistake, which is not very common from Luke if he wants a chance at winning this battle. Luke throws it big but taps the wall. Coming into the first Just Car Insurance corner, up the bank now towards the Achilles radial corner. Rob White is not able to gain that ground, but watch this, Luke Fink goes off track, hits that rut, and it nearly straightens him up and throws him out. And that mistake is going to hand the advantage back towards Rob White. Wow, he did well to hold on to that and not spin, but that's going to force another rerun now here in the finals. So this is their second rerun, or their third attempt at finding a winner, so the pressure will be on for both drivers. What happens now? Rob White leads, throws it in big. Luke Fink is right there and transitions. What's this? A straighten there. A very small understeer moment from Luke Fink as he straightens up. He manages to gather himself back up and continue the drift, heading through the horseshoe and up onto the bank, and not able to gain that ground on Rob White after that incident. So he will have the advantage. Luke Fink is going to have to pull something out of the bag on this run, or hope for a mistake from Rob White as he has the advantage. Luke throws it in, not as aggressive as some of his other entries, but right there on the wall on that outer clip. through the horseshoe now, and Rob White is able to stay with him, and he's all over the back of Luke Fink. Excellent proximity from Rob White in the Monster Energy 350Z, but I tell you what, it was that straighten up coming into the first corner by Luke Fink, which you can see here in the replay, that handed the big advantage to Rob White. It was only a very brief moment of understeer, but that straighten up was still a straighten. And then on Rob White's follow lap, he was able to take the fight right to Luke Fink, getting up on his door. That could be the advantage that he needs to take the win. A little bit of a celebration from him. A 360.
Is Rob White, Monster Energy 350Z!
It feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I mean, I didn't want to win by, mechanical failure, because Luke had a few problems all weekend, and that would not have been as rewarding to actually go and battle it out. And then battle it out 3 times is just awesome. I had so much fun, and I want to rerun again. It was so much fun. I don't know what to say. Run after run, could have done that all day long. It was so much fun. More than happy to come second to a guy like that. You know what I mean? He's at the last round. He was like, it was like 0.1 of a point away from me in qualifying. Here it was even qualifying. You know, I think it's a serious battle we've got going on now. So.
At round 2, we also held the People's Champion battle. The 2 favourite drivers voted by the crowd go head-to-head. It was Nigel Petrie in the Engineer to Slide 180SX up against Simon Michaelmore in the Unique Communications S14. Simon still having gearbox problems, but having a lot of fun out on track. After a couple of epic battles, Nigel Petrie was declared the winner and our People's Champion for round 2. Now let's take a look at the rest of the top 10. Nick Coulson, 4th place. Danny Vahumis in 5th. Ben Patel in 6th. So their championship is kept alive. Jared Klingberg, Matt Russell, Muhammad Ahuli and Ender rounding out the top 10. Rob White and Luke Fink are tied in the championship. Ben Patel holds on to 3rd. Danny Vahumis holds on to 4th. But Danny Williamson moves into 5th. If you want more result information, you can head to our website, AustralianDriftingGP.com. But we will see you at round 3 at Mallala Motorsport Park in South Australia on the 15th and 16th of September. Tickets are available online or at the gate.